Something was brought up in one of the comments of the last video. I think it was the last video, but talking about New Coke. And there are some parallels here. Basically, this thing is JJ Trek, and Discovery is kind of the New Coke of Star Trek. And you can think of it because, it's flashier. It's, certainly more expensive special effects and, modern production standards and stuff, and, fine glitzy sets and all that. And if you're just grading on that, then yeah, it would probably come off better in certain, respects if you did an audience testing. But, because, the parallel is that New Coke, when they're doing the taste testing, it did score higher in taste tests, even with Coke. But the thing is, what they didn't take into account with New Coke is that the second you put the name Coke on there, people rebelled. No, don't mess with Coke. You bring out a new flavor, whatever, call it what you want, but don't call it Coke. There's a similar thing with the Ford. They were trying out a new design for the Mustang. It was, and this was several years back. It was, like down in the late early 80s, and it was a front-wheel drive 4-cylinder engine thing. And yeah, apparently it did fine. It eventually came out as the Probe 4, but they were going to put it out as the new Mustang. And they had enough audience, market research to realize you do that, you will kill the brand. Because Mustang is a front-engine, rear-wheel drive beast. It's, they would not accept a front-wheel drive I mean, there are 4-cylinder Mustangs, but they're not really front of the line. This was going to be the main thing. And no. There's certain rules in automotive thing, and one thing is a Mustang will always be a rear-wheel drive car. But and same with Coke. When the backlash happened with New Coke, they couldn't get Classic Coke out fast enough. It was incredible how fast that turnaround was and how apologetic they were. Here's where the basic key difference is with the New Coke scenario, which will still stop conversations in boardrooms. You bring up New Coke, and that was over 30 some years ago. I was in tech school, Air Force tech school in '85 when that happened. You didn't see Coke attacking their customer base, saying you need to get over it, and you old fogies just go on and die. This is for the new generation. This is for the new Coke drinkers. No. They were falling over themselves, saying we're sorry, messed up, and they got the original Coke out. And mind you, New Coke still was it's still available in certain very, very small markets. But for a while, New Coke and Classic was being sold side by side. But it's very clear these are two different brands. Same company, but yeah, this is two different things. We're not going to try and confuse you. We're saying this. What do you got going on now with Star Trek? No, they're still trying to sing this little song and dance. No, yeah, that's Prime. That's it's already been pretty much proven over and over again now that no, it's not. You can do that song and dance all you want. It ain't it ain't the real thing. Okay, And I was just wondering what has happened where a producer, in the loosest sense, of a product thinks they have the gall to attack their customers because their product is not exactly accepted. I mean, anyone who's worked retail knows the inherent fallacy of the customer is always right. Because there are some customers, if you stood on the other side of that red cash register for a while, some customers are total idiots. It really questions your faith in humanity after a while working retail. But in the general sense, no, the customer knows what the customer knows. Okay, so the customer is very rarely outright wrong. Let's put it that way. And the one thing the customer does know is when they're not happy. And if you're a decent purveyor of whatever, your main job is to make the customer happy so they come back and keep buying from you. And what's going on now, and I'm going beyond Star Trek, with Doctor Who and Ghostbusters and everything, all those other in the comics, is that they have very unhappy customers, and some of these idiots have no sense in how to please their customers. They think, "Well, you're just idiot, you're just stupid. You should accept this and like it." And it's like, no, this is still mostly a free market economy. I don't have to buy your crap if I don't want it. Hence the thing, go woke, get woke, go broke. When you start putting your little agenda ahead of actually, serving your customers, guess what? Your customers will go elsewhere. In this case, prime example, the Orville. We have certain expectations of Star Trek. The Orville is meeting them. Star Trek Discovery is not. JJ Trek is not. That's why Beyond bombed badly in the domestic box office. It was saved by the overseas market, where they don't give a crap for the most part, and by the home video sales. But domestic box office, it tanked because it had enough with it. And again, a lot of it was suffering for the sins of Star Trek Into Darkness. Just the same way that Solo really suffered for the egregious sins of The Last Jedi. And it didn't help that, frankly, that Solo was not apparently that good a movie. Apparently not good enough to bring him back. It's kind of like with Nemesis. I'm still content. The early example was Star Trek Nemesis was suffering for the aggravation fans were feeling over Enterprise. And it was only made worse by the fact that Nemesis was a stupid movie. So that's also a misreading of the thing. But Star Trek's been political before. Well, let that be your last battlefield. Yeah, and you're citing what is not considered a particularly good episode. So that doesn't help your case much. All you're doing is, and then even Star Trek sometimes got a little bit wrong. Although, frankly, even that one was less of a sledgehammer to the head than some of the stuff going on with Discovery. There's, I think, also the fact that when they did Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, it was pretty much, even by 1969, it was pretty much, no, this is kind of stupid, And they put it in terms where it's clearly, this is just as asinine as what's going on with the Klan and those last few segregationists holding on. Because by the time of that episode, the Civil Rights Act, 1964 was already 5 years old. It was just a matter in the process of dismantling all this stuff, but it had already been the law of the land for a while. Not to check the dates, but that was close to when Martin Luther King was assassinated. So, and he had already pretty much accomplished everything he needed to do. He was in Memphis to protest a plumber strike, or help a plumber strike in that thing. So he was quickly working himself out of a job. He would have been back in wherever it's Birmingham, I think, wherever, back, he would have been back to pastoring his church. The civil rights part of his legacy was kind of winding down. So doing that, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, was about as groundbreaking for the most part as doing like an anti-slavery, episode. Yeah, everyone acknowledges there's just a few little hangers on there that need to be reminded. And also how simple and how stupid it is when you get sucked into that sort of thing. And that's usually where, the better, when they're doing something where everyone knows it's stupid, but it's like where you demonstrate how easy it is to slip into that kind of stupidity, like the Drumhead or Measure of a Man. Where you get it, the message is kind of obvious, but it's the way you go about it, and to point out that how it is still relevant. That's where you get them. But you don't go at it by, they're going the assumption that the audience is idiots. And you have to spoon feed them all this crap, and you have to tell them how to think. And you got people in charge of these things. And again, we're going with, Captain Marvel out here, where they think they have to pound it under the head, woman, hear me roar, and just screaming and blowing things up. And one of the things they show an utter lack of knowledge of certain things. Like having Carol, her call sign be Avengers, like, that's not the way it works. Not even close. You don't choose your own call sign. It's chosen for you. Usually by something, either a personal characteristic or somehow you screwed up. And that is now your nickname. This might get a thing, but in Big Bang Theory, Howard's nickname they gave him, Fruit Loops. And because he liked Fruit Loop cereal or something, and just the way he kind of weirded out on him when he was up in orbit. But it's like, yeah, your call sign is usually something very unflattering, and oftentimes not repeatable in mixed company. There's some very foul call signs floating around out there. But yeah, you do not choose it. You certainly don't get anything cool. Okay, And for conceivably a term, how a pilot can get the term like maverick. It kind of goes back to a maverick is a cow that will not stay in the herd. It's usually a calf. It's like you got to constantly keep whacking and get it back in the line. He's just like a bullheaded little twerp that won't follow orders and keeps wandering off on his own. And so while it sounds kind of cruel, it's like you think about this is not really a compliment. Okay, you get your butt in line. But I think just certain people in the entertainment business, and this goes beyond TV and movie, it's like the whole spectrum here, comics and games, need to learn. You need to do a certain amount of catering to your customers. I mean, not necessarily bend over and spread them, but it's like you got to get the customer at least something they will like, not necessarily what they want, because then that's not. So yeah, but you got to get something the customer will appreciate, and you got to do a little bit of legwork. And you certainly need to know when you're screwing up and pay attention when the customer howls. There's usually a reason. And not even necessarily the reason they think they're saying, but you got to figure out why are they not happy, and how can we make them happy. And part of it is like realizing that some of these IPs have very long-standing traditions. Coke had a very long-standing tradition of this is Coke. This is it's not the heavily sweetened thing, because one of the things about new Coke is it tastes like Pepsi. People didn't like that. Okay. I don't care what your taste test goes. The second you put that Coke label on, I was like, no, this is not meeting our expectations. You put that Star Trek label on there. This ain't Star Trek. You may think you're doing what Star Trek is, but no, that ain't it. So you're going to do something. I guess get ready to go out there and do the legwork and make it work, or expect the backlash. So, and anybody wondering about the cat? Yeah, he was a little panty yesterday, but we worked out a little something in the local veterinary clinic. I will put a shout out in the description down below. Vito, I think, Animal Clinic, but we're letting them stay. They're letting them stay there during the day. There's nice air conditioning. He's in a little enclosure. He's got food and water, and a litter box there, and he's kept safe. So he's no longer sitting out here baking in the car, especially now the temperature's starting to pick up down here. And even today, overcast as it was still kind of miserable inside the car. So cat is fine. He's not exactly enjoying himself because he's still in a cage, and he doesn't like cages, but he's safe. He's cool. He's being well fed. He's being looked after. And we go in at, in the evening, pick him up and bring him back in the morning. But he's all safe now. And, he'll be a prominent feature on that PSA. I might finally get around to doing that. But PayPal, Patreon, the usual stuff down below. And stage. No, they're not Stage 9 anymore. I think they're called something else now. Neutral Zone Studios now. But the same place, Kingland. So they're going to be doing another fan appreciation weekend. It's coming up sometime in April. And if we're still down here by then, we're gonna try and work up something for that and get up there. And I've already put the bug in Rob Burnett's ear to get down here for that one. Now if that happens, we're gonna have a fun old time. So In the meantime, we still got to eat. We still got to feed the car and feed the cat and us and whatever else. So PayPal, Patreon, everything else down below. Like, share, and subscribe. I need more subscribers to get those viewing numbers up. Okay? Let's try and build this. Everyone, I've been passed like I'm standing still by all these guys that got 20, 40, 50,000. I'm still struggling to get 1,100. Where's the justice in this world? Come on. Let's get going here. Let's kick this gen on the high gear. And we'll catch you later.